It's time to play a game called Little Nightmares, a 2017 horror puzzle game set in the Maw, a creepy ship filled with enemies who go after us at any and every turn. We're gonna be facing off against many nightmares, like an arm guy who's constantly going to grab us, chefs throwing bottles, and a sketchy tall lady who's afraid of her own reflection. I thought this game was a really good one, and I hope you all feel the same. Anyway, enjoy the video. We begin the game in a room with a guy just hanging out. We say hello, and then steal his chair so that we can reach the handle on the door. We swing open the door and find a room with a refrigerator and a hole in the wall, which we enter and find a little gnome. We give him a hug, and then head back to the refrigerator, climb up some shelves, and then run away from some leeches as we progress to the next section. We use our monstrous ape-like strength to rip a board off the wall to continue running. We fall through the floor and end up in a room filled entirely with leeches. We don't do well in rooms filled entirely with leeches, so we stumble around a bit, before finally finagling our way through to the door. Past the door, we encounter a little gnome that we free from his prison, and then run off and get a beautiful far view of the arm guy, who's just carrying a cage out further into the ship, just ominously. Our curiosity dictates that we must climb this rope, but we have second thoughts after seeing the arm guy, so we start turning around, let go, and then fall. That's a GTA wasted screen if I ever seen one. After successfully climbing the makeshift rope, we end up in a room that I have literally no idea what this is. I just have no idea. Could be a bathroom, but I don't really know. There's toilet paper everywhere, but I don't know. What I do know is that we have to turn off this lever that powers the electricity for the area, so that we can get through the electric fence and make a mad dash through the little playground area to the other electric fence, and get that before the lights end up turning back on. In this next room, we're blocked by a little searchlight that just rotates through the room. But we just ignore it, climb on up, and head to the next room, full of sleeping children on beds, and that weird arm guy who patrols around. So we're just gonna hide under the bed until he leaves. Yeah, get out of here, arm guy. We've been wandering around for quite a while, and the hunger's finally starting to sink in. So after a few bursts of tummy pain, a kid from what looks like a cafeteria feels sorry for us and tosses us some food for us to eat. Yeah, how nice. With our hunger sated a bit, we do some more running, get our steps in past some more tar leeches, or whatever you want to call these things, get roadblocked by another one of those spotlights, and hide behind a little moving cart as the ship moves to escape, and then have to run for our lives as a platform collapses underneath us, which is a pretty solid nightmare. After exploring around a bit, we find ourselves in yet another room. We pull the suitcase over to a lever, and use the lever to reveal a totally normal, everyday garden variety bed, climb up some shelves, drop on down, take the key, and use it to leave the room. In the hallway, we take a monkey off the ground and use it to call the elevator. This just in, no one could have guessed this, but apparently the small amount of food that child gave us just wasn't enough. Well, what with all the running we've been doing and all. So, we're still hungry. The hunger pains are back, unfortunately. But hey, there's some conveniently placed food right in this definitely not ominous cage. We should probably take a look. What could go wrong, really? Well, no, it's not predicted in any way. It's not obvious, no. Literally no one could have seen this coming. Not at all. And you want to know the worst part? The guy who took us didn't even bother to also take our monkey that we were carrying while we went into the cage. It's a big shame, and I miss him greatly. Well, hey, on the bright side, at least we get to use this child as a stool to get to our pole swing. There's that, at least. After abandoning our cage buddy by swinging to the door, we now find ourselves, yet again, face to face with that sketchy arm guy, who seems to be making fabric out of something. Probably children. But I don't really know. and I don't really want to find out, so let's get out of here. He is blind, but he hears pretty well. First time around, we got stuck under the handle and got caught, unfortunately. But we were able to get it on the second attempt. Turn the lever, get the hatch open, and then jump on out to the next area. We fall into a vent where people have abandoned their shoes. Escaping out of the vent, and we find even more abandoned shoes. So many that it has created a little pond. We're gonna have to swim through it, but unfortunately, there is always something waiting for us. We don't know what it is, and we don't really want to find out. I don't know how we keep getting in these kind of scenarios, but unfortunately, we find ourselves stuck in an elevator with the arm guy. So, I'm just gonna hide in this box, make no noise, and pretend we don't exist. And we're gonna try to also pretend that the arm guy doesn't exist either. Eventually, the elevator comes to a stop and the arm guy leaves. And we have to collect ourselves, take some deep breaths, and get on out of here. The arm guy is just up ahead. He's blocking our way out, so we need to get past him. We're gonna pick up our monkey friend off the ground and throw him to the side to lure the arm guy away from the room. With our chance in hand, we now book it to the dresser, climb on up, and get out of here. Surprise, surprise, it's yet another vent. So we go through that and find a room with a clock in it. We're just gonna ignore that clock and then use our monstrous ape-like strength yet again to knock down this door. As a little callback to when I said the arm guy is blind and doesn't like loud. So by knocking over the door, he comes a-running, but the clock really bothers that guy. So in his confusion, we're gonna take a shoe off the ground and hit that button, which looks like an elevator button, but it is not an elevator. It actually just opens to a hallway where we're gonna run and run and run, and lock ourselves in a library. Libraries have many books, and books are made for climbing. So we're gonna climb up this bookcase and jump on this piano that's just hanging from the ceiling for whatever reason, and head on back to meet our arm guy friend again. Not like we'd really want to, but since we have to. So we're stuck in a room with the arm guy yet again, but he's really not the brightest. He keeps on looking only on the ground and not on the shelves. He does do a little reaching every once in a while, but not really anything that major. So we throw a can onto the ground to distract him while we run into the next room, a room with a little TV. We grab the crank that we need, and then turn on the TV to get the arm guy to open the door for us. And now that the door is open, we can prepare ourselves for a big chase as we run past him. Seems like our arm guy friend really doesn't want us out of here. So we have to haul it. Crank in hand, we gotta go through this whole library on the ground and get out of here. Once we get all the way to the end, we put the crank in the thing, start turning, and we get that piano up here. I don't know why it's here, hanging from the ceiling, but right now, it's a good thing it is, because we're gonna jump on it and head on to safety. After surviving that ordeal unscathed, we now have to push a cart to block some steam. After doing so, we use said cart to finally get the height needed to open the next door, where we enthusiastically swing it open and fall to our death. After trying again, but holding the door a little bit longer, we actually end up getting onto the platform, where we find, you wouldn't believe, another vent. So we climb through this, but the arm guy apparently isn't finished with us yet, so he tries to grab us as we run through. We get past his arms, leave the vent, and we are then chased yet again to a door held up by a little metal cage, where we are now tasked with dodging his arms as they flail about, while we remove bits and pieces from the cage itself. I adopted the strategy of grab a piece, run away, and then repeat. After removing the last piece, we've succeeded in crushing Arm Guy's arms. Now he is just Guy. Now that Guy is no longer an issue, we can now just climb up the cages and just leave. In the next area, we stumble upon what appears to be a body bag. We jump on it a couple times before using it as a stool to jump up to the hooks to carry us into the kitchen, where we get a nice far view of the chef who's staring at us from above. We get off the hooks at a mountain of whatever those things are, and we're faced with our hunger problem yet again. We are starving, and that food from earlier has not been enough for us. So, after stumbling around, we find a rat stuck in a trap. And you know, food is food. So, we absolutely devour that rat. So, with our hunger sated, we follow the blood-stained trails into the kitchen, climb up on a cart to get into the pantry full of unappetizing, disgusting vegetables. Ugh. Before finally hitting the kitchen and having our first encounter with the ship's cook. I don't know what he's cooking, but we've already feasted on that delicious rat, so we don't need to stick around. So we're gonna sneak on through this kitchen. He did forget to close this oven, so we're gonna do him a favor and close that, and then continue to head on. Find a little gnome friend on the way as well. We proceed to climb up some drawers, get onto whatever you call these things. The roof? I don't know. Whatever these are. Sneak on through, and then continue our climb up to the next floor. Passing an elevator that might be important later on our way, but we're gonna ditch it for now and just see what's in the other room. Past the hallway, we find a bedroom with the other ship's cook. He's sleeping, which means his key is fair game, so we're gonna take it off the shelf. Unfortunately, it falls to the ground and wakes him up, but that's not a problem, because we're just gonna hide under the bed until he leaves. I am sorry, Mr. Ship's Cook guy. I know beauty rest is important, and you certainly do need it. But we need that key a bit more. Now that we have the key, it's time to take that elevator down. It leads back to the kitchen area that we were just in earlier. So now, key in hand, it's time to sneak through the kitchen once again. It's a good thing the chef doesn't know we're here, because it's really easy to just hide under the tables as we walk on by. The little beans just don't really pose much of a threat. I don't know, I just like these guys. We put the key in the door and end up in a new area, a room with a sausage maker that requires some meat for us to find. In this room, there's a dumbwaiter. Taking the dumbwaiter takes us upward to a cold storage room where they're storing all their meat. Phrasing is important, but yes, their meat is here. We climb up some shelves and swing on a hook to get the meat that's on the ceiling. And then we spend an eternity not able to find the other meat, only for it to be in plain sight the whole time. Alright, with our meat in hand, we then pull the lever to put the meat into the grinder, grind out some sausages, and use those sausages to swing on to the next room. Let's just hope that in the next section we won't have to be touching so much meat. The next area has some things hanging from the ceiling. Nothing suspicious at all. And a crate that we're gonna use in a little bit. But first, the elevator. Calling the elevator brings down the little bean, who's gonna be looking around for some ingredients. So we're gonna hide in the crate until he leaves, ditch him, and steal his elevator. Nothing personal, little bean. After riding the elevator, we're going to very quickly head into the vent to hide so that the little bean can open the door. Following him in, we're gonna pass on by whenever he's chopping his meat and making sure to be hidden whenever he turns back. Head to the other room, turn on the meat grinder to distract him, run back in, steal his key, and then make a mad dash back to the elevator. Taking the elevator down, we open the door, and then we make our escape through the garbage chute. Climbing up out of the garbage chute, we end up in the dish area, where the little beans are doing a whole lot of dishes. This ship must be really short-staffed. They have to do all of the cooking and all the dishwashing. Like, there's a lot of plates here. There's a lot of plates. These dudes need a raise, honestly. But, what we're going to do, we're gonna go sneak on through. We're gonna pull a lever to swap the direction that the hooks move, cover ourselves in soap, and then almost get caught by the beans. They're trying their best. I believe in them. Once the coast is clear, we then make a mad dash out to the big stack of plates in the center and then jump up to the hooks to escape. And then the beans just don't even really try to stop me. They just stop and stare. They're not paid enough to get us. Freedom is short-lived because they finally try to stop us for the first time in this entire section. The first of the brothers tries to block the hook, so we have to jump up, while the other one just busts through the door. It seems we're more important than the plates that they've finished cleaning. So we continue running, dive under the table, and at this point they just give up and start throwing wine bottles at us. We climb on up, jump on the hooks again, and finally escape the kitchen. Freedom at last. At least for now. We've now escaped the kitchen, so now it's time for us to get a good look at the outside of the ship. The sun is shining, and we get a good far view of the dinner guests on their way to dinner. And surely, we won't be encountering them anytime soon. I really like how this section looks. The dinner area in general is probably my favorite part of this game. Just how it looks. It just looks really cool. Like, all of these angles, like, just look really nice. Is this that scene from Spirited Away? Regardless, we're gonna climb on up and do some jumping as we continue to get some solid views of them dinner guests. We are now in the dinner area. It's a good thing for now that the guests are too focused on their food to notice that we're just climbing everywhere. Well, I spoke too soon, because this guy immediately just flips a table so that he could body slam us. So, after restarting, we're instead going to do another mad dash to escape him. Run over to the next table, climb up on some plates, and then swing on the lantern while we watch a fat lady flail about to try to reach us. I'm embarrassed to admit how long it took me to figure this one out. But here, on this table, all of the fat guests are going to try to grab us. But instead of starting at the very beginning of the table, I'm just gonna pull this bar stool to the middle of the section and start from there instead. So, after pulling the bar stool out to the middle, we're gonna jump on up, we're gonna dodge the hands of the grabby guests, and we're going to leave. And hopefully we'll never see them again. But unfortunately, these fat guests are relentless. So, we just keep running. We run through the next table, they try to grab us. So we're gonna springboard to the next area, where a guy just completely dives out of his seat to get us, because we're far more interesting than his food now. Judging from the tables, it looks like they're actually running out of food, so that's probably why. Oh look, it's the Bean again. He's coming up the elevator, so it's time for us to go and hide in the bathroom. I don't know why he even came to the bathroom, because he kind of just comes in, looks around, and then just leaves. What is he even doing? He's just contemplating, I guess. But what we're going to do, we're going to use our monstrous ape-like strength to break this mirror. And behind it is something we can use to climb up. We're now back at that elevator that the Bean took. So we're gonna take that upward and prepare for a big chase. The fat dudes are relentless. They never stop. We do a big sprint. They just keep coming. We're gonna go under tables, around corners, jump on the tables, and then we're going to escape. Finally. And that is the last we'll see of those dudes. We've escaped the dining area, limbs intact, but we are hungry yet again. Our hunger is never sated. We walk by a little gnome who offers us a sausage in our trying time, but we are tired of that. We don't want the little sausage. No. We're instead going to devour the gnome. We don't like gnomes no more. Friendship ended. So, gnome devoured, hunger sated, and we're now gonna follow the weird lady up her elevator. In the lady's chambers, we find her staring blankly into a broken mirror. Not wanting to startle her, we then sneak via button mashing. After crossing the room, we find a pot. So we do the only thing we know how to do. Smash it. It contains a key, which we're going to then take. Going back into the other room, we find that she has completely vanished, which is fine for us. So, we go down the stairs and use the key on the door. Through the door, we find a pitch black room filled with dresses. In this room, with only our light to guide us, we are chased by the weird lady. After being chased around, we find a room that contains a small mirror big enough for us to hold. So now, weapon in hand, it's time to go back and face the weird lady. The lady really doesn't like her reflection. So in this, there'll be a light on the ground, so we run to that, and when the lady comes to try to get us, we can just point the mirror at her. And that damages her for some reason. So we keep doing that for a bit, running to circles, pointing mirrors, and eventually, the lady is no more. So I know this is a bad time, but our hunger is back at it again. And you know, the lady, she's just right there. So of course, we devour her too. And you are what you eat. So now, we gain some powers. And you know what the first thing you should do with powers is? Completely and utterly crush your enemies. So, we take our cool, menacing walk out back into the dining area. And we get rid of them guests. I found this to be really cool. I thought this scene was really nice. And that is the end of Little Nightmares. Thanks everybody for watching. I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was really good. A special thanks to all the channel members helping keep the channel alive. And I will see you all in the next video.